Hello and welcome to Drive Spark. We are here at the Buddha International Circuit. Suzuki has launched the Gixxer SF 155 and the Gixxer SF 250 in the Indian market, 1.09 lakh rupees and 1.70 lakh rupees. So what do they offer to you? Let's have a quick look at what these motorcycles offer, and this includes riding and performance and handling updates. So let's start with the 155. Yes, it's a vehicle that slots into the 150cc segment in the Indian market, and first of all, it has been on sale for quite some time now. Right up front, we have a few changes in design that includes this. At the entire front end, in fact, the entire bike has design changes. We start with this. It gets all LED headlamps, and let's have a look at it. This is how the LED headlamps work, and well, that they have separate high and low beams. And this entire front end is new. It has this new body. The fairing is sharper than it was before. The older one was, of course, as you know, very plain and quite boring. In fact, the tank design basically remains the same. It gets a new split seat design, and at the rear we have LED tail lamps, this new mudguard design, a new tire hugger, whereas the exhaust remains the same as the older version, and the brake lever looks brand new. And that rounds off the changes on the Gixxer SF. Let's now talk about the engine and how it performs. So before we start on that, let's take a quick look at the engine sound. So this is how the engine sounds. Let's have a look at it. It sounds sporty, in fact, for a 155cc air-cooled engine. Yes, it is air-cooled. It's a 5-speed gearbox. It produces 14.1 bhp and it produces 14 Nm of torque. Let's have a look at this. This is the new instrument cluster. It's white backlit, and it comes with a tachometer. You get an odometer, 2 trip meters. You get the gear shift indicator, fuel gauge, and you get this red line indicator. As you see, it lights up once you hit red line. Performance from the engine. Now let's get on to the handling characteristics, what it offers. It is basically more premium commuter in the 150cc segment. Though it competes with the Yamaha R15, it is not a direct competitor to it. In fact, it kind of slots against the Yamaha Phaser because it's air-cooled, it's a 5-speed gearbox, and even the pricing falls in that range. In fact, Suzuki has improved the ride and handling by retuning the front suspension. The front suspension is harder, so the damping is harder. In corners it feels better, though the front end is still light, just as it is supposed to be for a motorcycle in this segment. And that just about rounds up the handling changes. There are no more changes to the handling when it comes to this motorcycle. Now let's get on to this one, the new one. This is the new kid in the block. This is Suzuki's debut in the quarter-liter segment, and let's get on to the design. As you can see, it looks very similar to the 150 in terms of design. The biggest differentiators are the paint jobs. As you can see, both are decked in black, but this is a matte black and this is a metallic black, and that just about rounds up the differences in terms of color. But the other differences are this 250 badging that you see. It should have been in contrast, but no idea why Suzuki chose to stick with a grey finish on matte black. Barely visible. This is more pronounced. In fact, you can see it properly on the silver color variant. Other than that, design is basically the same. You barely get any differences. Now, if you have an eye for detail, you would figure out that the rear wheel is wider, and you get a thicker front suspension. In fact, it is based on the same chassis as that, but it's strengthened and reinforced even more. Now coming to the heart of the matter, which is the new engine. It is an all-new engine developed by Suzuki specifically for the Gixxer SF 250. It is an oil-cooled engine, but in what is a first in this segment and in many other segments as well. For the first time, it does not have air cooling vents, even though it is an oil cooled engine and not a liquid cooled engine. As we can see, if you get up close to the engine, there are no air cooling vents, and that just shows how efficient this oil cooling system is. Suzuki claims this has been derived from motorsport experience, and it cools the engine better, is more efficient and lighter than liquid cooling, and it seems to be more efficient. It did work. In terms of features, well, you get the same basic instrument cluster, but this is a negative LCD instrument cluster. You have better readability. It feels more premium in fact than the one on the 150, and switchgear is basically the same. Design, as we already said, is basically the same. It is a little longer than the 150, and this does translate to better handling out on the racetrack. We rode both the motorcycles, as we said earlier. The 150, of course, it didn't feel like it belonged on the Buddha International Circuit. This is a wide track, and it was struggling for power. Whereas the 250, it did feel okay. It wasn't exactly at home per se, but it did pretty well on the track. We could touch a top speed of 154 kilometers per hour, and that was the red line. It was hitting the red line at that point, and it just wouldn't go any further even on the back straight. In terms of the engine, it comes with a 6-speed gearbox, 26 bhp and 22 Nm. That's about it when it comes to the engine. In terms of handling, it feels more confident on the racetrack, and it did pretty well. The brakes are dual channel ABS on the 250, and it comes with a single channel ABS on the 155, and that just about rounds up the entire Gixxer SF lineup in India right now. It remains to be seen if Suzuki would launch a naked version of the 250. In our opinion, they should, but we already have the naked version of this one, and that's just about it from here for today. Stay tuned as we bring to you the full review of these two motorcycles. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned to Drive Spark.